We'll call this meeting to order. And first off, I'd like to just make a motion to approve our minutes from last time from August 28th. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right. All ayes. All right. So welcome back. Thank you everyone for helping me out or supporting to postpone the October meeting to come to the November.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
I went up on the website. I did not see the agenda posted under Ag and Forestry. Would you just make sure before we go any further?
I know I looked on the board outside that it was posted outside. So let me just make sure. Stockbridge. Stockbridge. Let's just make sure here. Yeah, it's on the website. November 6th. Few details.
I guess
Yeah.
I couldn't find it. Okay, good.
I know, just, yeah, so everyone, if you haven't been to the website, it's all new now.
Yep, it is.
It's changing.
I did go looking for the agenda and I could not find it.
Yeah, it's, if you click on the new tab they've created that says like all agendas, all minutes, since ours is like the next upcoming meeting, it's right at the top there. So we can go over that.
Okay.
Maybe I can share a screenshot at some point here.
And Matt, while we're on the topic,
Yeah.
the agenda still says it's a joint meeting.
Okay, I am gonna change that at some point during this meeting because clearly I've been copying and pasting.
Well, and they always put it on the Concom agenda, so people might come.
Okay.
I mean, it's not the worst thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes people do come.
Better safe
They're
than sorry.
interested.
But anyway, thank you, Eric, for pointing that out. I'll make sure people,
No, I just figured it out.
you got it.
They got past meetings and, recent meetings and I
Right.
really hate when the IT guys get to do this without supervision.
I hear that. So anyway, the first couple things on agenda, just quick updates. First, Abby, if you want to just give a quick update about the tree cuttings.
Yeah, I saw them today actually in person. Some of them are looking good, some of them not sure about all of them, but she said even if this batch doesn't work, then she wants to figure out how to make it work for the future, so that's
Okay,
exciting.
so how
Anyway.
many look good? A rough estimate?
I should have counted. I'd say half of them still look good, and just because they don't look good doesn't mean they're not gonna pull through,
Right,
which is
right.
tricky.
So what's half? I don't remember what the original.
Oh, she did, I want to say total probably upwards of 100.
Great.
Say, yeah,
Yeah,
should have taken a picture. Maybe I'll have her email over a picture.
nice. Oh, that's great.
That's cool. And I think at some point we'll have her come out to a meeting and share and maybe bring hopefully some high school students can come.
That would be fun. She
would
said
be
she
nice.
wants to try to get the kids involved, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Another update just got forwarded through Patrick White, an email from Bob Leverett, and they are doing some measurements in Ice Glen. And they have just, I'll share this email with everyone. They were looking at the pine. They're doing a lot of measurements of a lot of the trees, but in particularly one of the large pines at the southerly end of the trail. And it has grown, has put on more mass, more CO2 sequestration. So he's laid out a bunch of math that he's done. It has grown another 3 feet. And so he was really happy, and was showing some good signs and good progress in the Glen. So I'll share that around because there's a good paragraph that he wrote up about the tree.
I think it came to everybody.
Oh, we did. Did everyone get it? Oh,
But I think he
yeah.
continues to make the case that
Yeah.
even old trees sequester
Right,
a whole lot more carbon than previously thought.
right.
So it's good. that he's
Good. I'm glad.
making progress.
So that was good news. Some good news we all need. So moving forward, I'm thinking I don't see. Well, no, we can go right down. We want to talk about composting. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can start, and hopefully at some point
Who is Carol?
they're still joining. Maybe Carol Owens.
Oh,
But to keep moving forward, at least, we had a good discussion yesterday between me and Abby and Laura DeBaster, and got a lot of information about what the Green Team in particular had done before us, which we found out was not much, so that we wouldn't necessarily be stepping on anyone's toes. In the sense that they haven't really put much work into it, but gave us a lot of resources to look at. Do you want to share anything that particularly stuck out to you?
Yeah, she was talking about how the businesses must already be composting, like the Red Lion Inn and the Lost Lamb, and it might be interesting to reach out and see what they're doing with their compost before, if we try to bring in a new hauler, see if they're already using a hauler and who maybe they'd recommend, and if they.
so Austin Riggs is using Tommy's,
She mentioned that one.
yeah, and they're starting slow. I think they're starting with just the kitchen, like inside the kitchen itself. Hasn't gone to, because there's meals for patients and staff. Hasn't gone that far, but they have kitchen staff is composting
It's good to
kitchen
know.
waste and kind of as a pilot for the whole.
Yeah.
And there, as far as I know, it's going really well.
And I think that's the same, Eric, that you mentioned Tommy's before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At Bav, we loaned her money to get a truck with a lift on it.
I'm sorry, who did?
Berkshire Agriculture
Oh,
Ventures.
nice, great.
And I use her, but I've been using her since I have a composter. I have big barrels with cleaning up the gardens, and she's been taking that, and that's been great. Because she
Awesome.
comes by on the way to Riggs.
Yeah, good. And it goes to Meadow Farm, right?
I'm pretty sure that, because she's also got, I believe it's a hospital down in Westfield. So when she picks up here, she'd go by with Meadow Farms, drop it off and go down there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
okay, good.
So I think too, that's what Laura's bringing up. The biggest concerns that were in her eyes were obviously just talking about what is the space it would mean to do residential slash we kind of we touched on the commercial obviously, but we tried to keep it focused on the residential for now. So space at the transfer station and bear concerns, which I think is all stuff we brought up before with doing the composting. But it seemed like tangentially or a little anecdotally that some of the conversations has been had a little bit with I think it's Mark at the transfer station, not necessarily Mike Buffoni. So kind of starting to touch on that because it looks like they've done a lot of work and are doing a lot of work there right now, and they have opened up the swap shop, which I'm wondering if that is, I haven't confirmed it. It's open. Yeah, so I peeked, I saw the signs that it was coming soon. So I think that is part of the dividends program. Because I think that's when we look through that long list.
Put on there.
Yeah, doing a swap shop was part of it. So, hey, Patrick. So I think kind of next steps, there was a lot of places that Laura said to look at, like Williams College, Red Lion Inn, and CET up in Pittsfield for recommendations and help getting this off the ground. But it also felt like,
What exactly are you trying to get off the ground?
I think it's just promoting composting and supporting whoever wants to take on composting in the residence. So not necessarily us, we'd be education, looking to get the dividend points that we can, because I think education was a big one.
Okay, I thought we were working towards having composting at the recycling center.
Yeah, and I think, I think that's like the main goal is to help whoever's going to take that on, because that was Laura's big question, who's going to lead it? It's not going to be us who's necessarily leading it. We're going to help educate people. And I think that's the conversation that we have to have with the waste transfer station, because they're the ones that are going to be ultimately running and having the space. But we're going to have to help them if they so choose to want to do it. So I think it's hard, because I think we really want to lead and charge in and be the ones that are the composters, but I think we got to support the people who are going to be the ones on the boots on the ground, running it. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different than how I had thought.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So do we need to be talking to those people?
Yeah. I think that's what I'm leaning towards, is talking to Mark and the transfer station and seeing what we can do to help lift them up and not give them more work. But if that makes sense. Does that make sense, Eric? Am I making sense?
Well, yeah, but since you have some small business commercial, wouldn't it be better to do that? Because I'm not going to take it to the, when I compost during the winter, I'm going to put the bucket out every other week and she'll take it away. And the income level, although the average is small, but trust me, the income component of people would probably prefer to have it picked up rather than having to take it to the transfer station. Just my view.
Yeah, no, I think that's the other part of this is education about that being an option. You know what I mean? Like, I think we want people composting. Like, that's the simple goal of it. Whether that's pick up or drop off, meet the people where they are. But I want to make sure that we're staying within the confines of what our bylaws are. And what we're trying to do is promote agriculture, and composting is a big part of it. But I don't want us also to be the ones that are down there throwing the buckets on the back of the truck, because I don't think that's what we're meant to do.
Is it a town goal to have composting at the transfer station?
Asking me?
I'm asking you, yeah.
Also, just so people who aren't on screen know, Patrick White's here.
So that's not for me to say. I mean, I think to Matt's point though, that if you make composting about helping farmers, it's a lot more likely that people will do the extra thing about bringing it and dumping it in the big container, because that becomes fertilizer for, organic fertilizer, I assume, I literally have no opinion on this because it sounds great, but it's not to me. I would also add though that you might want to talk to Lauren Investor at Green Communities if you haven't already. Yeah.
No, I think that's where this stemmed from. That was our next.
Because I think there's grants and programs that are, focused on Green Communities as a state program that has a whole bunch of recycling initiatives in it. I'm doing the Will Robinson robot. I think there's a lot of, I think it's a great idea, the chance that I would take kitchen waste and traipse it to the dump without the larger community benefit of helping our farmers is relatively low, but that might, convince me and others to do it. I think that makes common sense.
And I think that's, Laura pointed out that the way she sees it, it's moving from the green communities initiative that originally got started, and there's a new program that's coming called Climate Leaders that's so coming down the line. And the previous program was mostly about weatherization. So a lot of the money that, like you're speaking of, was about redoing the buildings and municipality buildings to weatherize them better. And the next program that's seemingly coming down the line is about carbon emissions and reducing carbon emissions. So waste, reducing the methane and stuff that build up in our waste. But one thing she did say to kind of talk to Susan Way, was it? Wait, from DEP, was that there is talks about eventually sorting out waste, sorting the waste out of what do I want to call it? Compost out of the waste system. So haulers might eventually have to do this for residential, irregardless, in Massachusetts. So, she said, you don't want to do a lot of work if they're going to mandate this anyway, and you're going to have to, someone else is going to have to figure this out.
Who would come take the compost?
Well, I think this is a question that we've heard a lot of names like Tommy's, who's already doing it for some residents in Stockbridge, Austin Riggs.
He comes and picks it up,
Right. I mean,
brings it to Meadow Farm.
talk to Chuck or talk to the new part of the Alana farm on
Rattlesnake.
somebody who's a farmer that everybody knows and have a couple of people partner so they can get the stuff. And I think that your chance of success would be way higher if people think they're helping a neighbor than if it's just some company that's coming.
Well, she picks it up and brings it to Meadow Farm.
Yeah.
It goes to a local farm.
So it does go to a local farm, and and this was the conversation we had the other day with Laura, was that by composting, we're also supporting jobs around here right now in the agricultural world and the composters. From anecdotally from my own farm, we do about 4 to 5 dump truck loads a year of compost. So it's close to about 90 yards of compost on an acre and a half. But the trend over the last few years, the price has just been going up. Meadow Farm is just over in Lee on Meadow Street. But the prices they're going up higher and higher because more and more people are doing a good thing and using compost. So it's part supporting the farmers, the local economy around that, but also creating a product to be used for the farms. And the more waste and more material we keep here in this area, it's not going out to a different community,
So our green team at Riggs did a video with the farmer talking about, he walks around the farm, he shows where the compost goes, and it's very person to person. It's really nice. It's a good education.
That'd be great.
I don't know if you do it for the town, but
Yeah.
it helps to understand the process.
Yeah. Oh, and here's Laura's here now.
I just got in. Okay.
We just given an overview of our meeting yesterday.
Very good.
If anyone has specific questions, maybe that's come up from what we've shared about our meeting, to direct it towards Laura for a minute here. Unless we answered them so well. Not hearing anything. So I think the biggest takeaways that we had, Laura, was just the space, bear concerns, and who is going to be, the people that really take the charge of composting residents in Stockbridge. Yeah.
New to the topic, what do you put your waste into to compost it on the way to the transfer station? Do you have like a little bucket? Is there a standard thing? Is there a cover?
So I think Tommy's provides for upfront
Thomas
costs.
provides
Yeah.
a bucket, like a walk into the garage and hold it up for you, but basically a 5-gallon pan with a twist on container, a top, and she charges, I think it's $21 for every 2 weeks pickup for those 4 weeks.
This would be free? This would be free if you drive to the transfer station?
Don't think it would be free.
So you pay to drop your compost off?
Well, with that, I think would,
We haven't got.
we haven't got that far.
Yeah.
We haven't even got that far because I don't even know what cost would be. You know, this is for pickup and delivery personally at your house. So, you know, I don't know what it would mean to pick up for multiple residents at one location. I know there are places like Laura, you brought up Williams. Was it Williams that was doing
No,
that?
in Williamstown, they did a pilot project and now they're going, I guess, full scale. And I think they charged in the pilot for the bucket. And then you could just bring it for free. But, you know, I think those are really program design issues once you find out there's a little bit of more kind of just getting the lay of the land and the landscape. And yeah, I mean, I think it's like figuring out everybody's questions, like the residents' questions are going to be, what does it cost and how do you do it and what's accepted? And the transfer station's questions are going to be, how often will they come and get it? And where is it going to go? And what are the risks and concerns? And what about contamination? And the haulers' questions are going to be, what if, you know, the same kind of thing. We want to make sure that it's clean and people are educated and that it doesn't smell and that, you know, all of those things. So it's kind of, it's all circling around until you kind of can answer everybody's concerns and say, okay, here's an idea. Let's try it, or let's see if it works.
So Laura, do you know if it's happening in Sheffield? I thought that they were doing it there, and I know Great Barrington is trying to do it. I don't know if it's started there yet. But I think Sheffield is doing it, so we may want to find out.
Right.
We're going to have to reinvent the
Right,
wheel.
or Susan Waite may have a better sense of what's going on in South Berkshire or the other towns, communities that are.
She may have the contact that we can reach out to.
Yeah.
It sounded like Great Barrington was,
Yeah.
they were working towards it, but I'm almost positive Sheffield is doing it.
For Great Barrington, from what I heard from someone who was working on that and then broke off from it, actually, I think Natalie, who had come to one of our meetings, she said they had been working on it for a few years, but obviously it became a space, where they were going to do it, and all the stakeholders, and there was no buy-in from the community, so that it's been kind of on the back burner now for a minute.
I'll see if I can find out Sheffield.
Yeah. Sorry, you would say, and please state your name so we know who's there.
I'm Karen Levy-Letner, and I have a question about this, because how will we control, how will it be controlled so that we know what people are composting? I mean, it's sort of an honor system, I guess. I mean, I've seen it done in other places, and you have to be careful, you know, and people have to be really diligent about what they're going to be composting.
No Fruit Loops.
I'm sorry?
No fruit.
No Fruit Loops.
Yeah, I mean, really. And I mean, because I take my garbage all the time to the recycle, whatever we call it here. And I notice that many people don't even separate carefully cans and glass and paper products, and they throw plastic. And I've never understood how this is really working and being effective for our community. So I'd like that to be explained to me if possible. And then I'm concerned about composting and the general public. I mean, most people are not very careful about a lot of things that they do. And they say, well, I'll just throw this in there, or I'll put this. I'm sure you've all seen it too. So I'm just curious, to know where it's being done in this area successfully. And perhaps we go to that place to help us set it up if in fact we're going to go forward with it. It's just the comment I have.
Yeah, that's great. I think that,
I would just say, I think those are really good concerns. And right now, I would say, since to put organic waste in a container and then to bring it to the transfer station, if that's where it's being collected, people are only going to do it if they're going to be motivated and careful. They're going to do it, I think so. But there's definitely an education process, just like with recycles. What goes in the containers? What goes in the paper? What does the market accept? What doesn't it accept? And there's definitely there's education, and there's education involved in every recycling program.
No, I think, this is definitely not the last conversation we're going to have about this. This is, we're trying to take it step by step to make sure that we figure out how to do it right and / don't do extra work that people have already done. So if Sheffield and pilot programs are out there,
I'll ask.
and I think the fact that there are 2 to 3 haulers now doing compost in the area, is a lot different than it was even 5 years ago when there wasn't this much opportunity to even do this. It's become more towards the mainstream. So I'm just looking at time. Any other last thoughts or statements on composting? All right. Thank you so much for stopping in, Laura.
I would just say, I think it's terrific that you're looking at it. I'm thrilled.
I'm glad.
If I can help in any way, I will be glad to.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I got one more thing.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to do this at the transfer station, they're going to have to provide whatever it is and manage it. Just don't even think about anything else. So you better talk to them if they're really interested in what it's going to take for them to do.
No, that's fair. That's a fair point. I think that honestly is kind of the next kind of approach that we're going to make, is hopefully get one of them in and start hearing their concerns and hopefully figure out what would work for them.
Birds like compost, right? Maybe you can put it on the foot bird sanctuary.
The crows love my compost.
Good idea.
Not appropriate for a swap shop.
Yeah.
That was a zig
I got it.
All right. So moving on, thank you for being patient, Jeff. Next discussion is we're going to talk about town property site visits and / stewardship plans for the town forests, which I understand we have been snowed out, iced out, and rained out on multiple of our hikes that we had planned. And so I apologize for everyone who wanted to go on the hikes or tried to. But I think, we want to gauge today, hopefully, the sentiment of whether we feel comfortable moving forward with stewardship plans for the Stockbridge Mountain property. I know we haven't visited it yet, but that's why Jeff is in the room to hopefully talk to us a little bit more about it.
I was here to answer questions.
Yeah, well,
I didn't know that was coming.
No, just answer questions. That's all.
So I think my question is, we got together the day we got iced out.
Yes.
And had a good conversation with you and Colin about what we thought the objectives would be for that property. Given that we've tried 3 times to get out there and we haven't made it yet, I'm wondering if we can still submit a stewardship plan with those objectives and see it when we can.
The simple answer is yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I don't know. I've had discussions with Mike Downey, the guy who you're gonna send your application into.
Okay.
And the state's in the middle of reconfiguring everything, for lack of better words, and he's not tipping their hand to everything you're doing. So applications where normally we'd find out in a week if they were accepted, he's been piling them up for several weeks because they're working on adjusting the rates and doing other things. But so site visit or not, your objectives, I mean, like we talked about that day, your objectives are all real, and they can be built into the plan.
Down the line.
You know, even without the site visit. I mean,
Yeah.
Shelby, you came with us on the site visit around the lake. But those plans were all developed, and the last one was developed without, you know, worrying about bringing all the water commissioners for a site visit.
Right.
So it can be done as part of it, it can be done afterwards. You know, that's not a big deal.
Okay.
If there's something if it's something you guys want and are interested in doing, I'd say get the application in, even if we find time in sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas, if we don't have snow or ice or any other godforsaken thing that's kept us out of there, to find time to go for a walk, you know?
But we can still, we can submit it ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I want to point out that the application is, as you've seen, pretty bare bones.
Right.
So, I mean, all we're doing is saying we want to develop a stewardship plan. We're not developing it first. We're just applying for the money to develop it.
Right.
So we don't have to have any particular information in hand about the site in order to put in a decent application. There's very little information actually required in the application.
And is it the cost share application?
Yeah.
Is that the one we're doing?
And you don't need any site information, and you don't even need to have your goals and objectives lined up.
Okay, great.
Yeah, those things are like the first step in doing the plan is going through your goals and objectives. So the application is just like, we own this property. We want to develop a stewardship plan for the overall goal of, long-term maintenance and climate resilience and whatnot. And then that's that. If they approve it, then we work with Jeff to actually refine, there's a whole raft of possible objectives, and we pick out, our priorities, and then we work together to basically give Jeff guidance so he can go out and go through the property and determine the plan, and develop a plan.
With Colin also? Or
No, what happens is the plan gets prepared, then it goes to Colin to get approved as a plan that matches your goals and objectives and is suitable to the site.
okay,
So Colin is regulatory.
yeah,
So it would be the next step. Colin's actually at a meeting in Mount Washington as we speak. Which is why he's not either there. He would have been on the screen, but they're here. So
okay,
so yeah, that's the procedure. So he's not involved in preparing the plan. He can't. That's a conflict.
got it.
Of interest.
Yeah, and I think we should just submit the application as soon as we can, because they do run out of money. And once they run out of money, then that's it for that year, and then you have to wait till next year.
And is it fiscal year or calendar year?
Fiscal.
It's fiscal year.
Okay, so let's get it in.
So the only questions I have is basically what we are checking off is that we are applying, I'm looking at the cost sharing, and this is for
Got it with me.
just the West Stockbridge Road property.
Yeah.
So we are applying for the stewardship plan, cost share, yes, check that box. And we are applying for cost share for climate forestry pilot area and checking that box, yes.
We're ineligible.
You've got the wrong application.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one?
Well, it's the right application, but the wrong application in that there's no more pilot area.
Gotcha.
It's statewide. So what's it say for fiscal year on top of your application?
This is 2023.
Right, so there's a 2024 one, which,
Right. We're in 24. Yeah.
But there is a 2020, there's a fiscal year 2024 application.
That is what we're in now, fiscal year.
Yes, but you can submit that one, but there is an up-to-date.
I just wonder if there's a 25 one, or are you
No,
thinking for the current year?
not yet, not yet. They're still working in
All right.
2024.
So it's not technically a pilot
It's
area.
not a pilot, so.
Gotcha.
So I will, when I get back, I will email it to that email. that you
Gotcha.
sent us about the meeting.
Okay.
But it's gonna be the same thing, except it won't say pilot.
And what's the
Gotcha.
difference between the climate pilot, or the climate versus the traditional?
So you've got 3 levels of plans. You've got your basic stewardship plan, you've got a bird habitat assessment plan, and now you got a climate plan. So the stewardship plan looks at what's going on out there. The climate plan now looks at it the same way, that same information, but now brings more information into it. So it looks at it from a
Like
different.
carbon storing and all that?
Well, carbon's coming, okay? These aren't carbon plans as such. Word on the street is we can probably expect that in the next couple of years. Carbon gets addressed in here, gets quantified, and they have all these other numbers we put on it. But it's climate resiliency. It's looking at it as how resilient is that property to all these climate issues? And what else is going on? Because if you have the climate changing and you have the ash borer and the woolly adelgid and the invasive plants and whatever other factors, you put them all together is what can we do to make it more resilient? And one of the easiest things to do is diversify. The more species you have out there, the better chance something's gonna survive as things continue to get worse. So it looks at, okay, what can we do to get to that point? And there is now climate resilient forestry practices that are more mainstream, if you will, or being accepted. The bird habitat plan looks at some of that same stuff, but then quantifies other things that are important to the birds, such as dead trees, dead wood on the ground, what's out there for them to eat, things like that. Most of the time you see these plans get done now. If someone's going through a climate plan, it's usually they check all 3 boxes. On the list of things to do now, I have some that are straight stewardship plans. I have some that are habitat assessment plans, so bird habitat goes with the stewardship. If they're a climate plan, everybody's checking every box. And that's just the way people are. They say, oh, I'm interested in that, I'm interested in that, interested in that. Just like Shelby talked about the goals and objectives, there's a sheet you have to fill out. And most people go down the list and everything's important to them. So that's the way things are going. What boxes you guys check?
So is there an advantage to checking everything? Or how is the decision made?
The decision's made by the landowner and what's important to them.
No, I mean the decision to grant the funding.
No, this funding is done first come, first serve.
Gotcha.
So it doesn't matter which boxes you check, you check the boxes, they look at the number of acres, which boxes you check, it's worth X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
And if they have it left, you get funded.
Okay.
That's basically it.
And are we logging for the revenue or for forestry help?
We're definitely not logging for the revenue.
I hope not.
No, I've been working on the watershed since '96.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. I did a management plan on the mountain 2012, 11 or something. And the issue on the mountain was, can we get some of the ash out there before the borer kills it? But we can't get onto the mountain to get the wood out is the issue, okay? But we want to know what we have to work with. Again, the watershed's something different, but the last cut was focused on removing ash that was dying almost as fast as they could cut it, okay? That last cut that's been planned that hasn't happened is got ash that we're worried about the bug and aspen that's just dying because it's a short-lived species. So it's trying to get some of those things out of there but nothing's happened in a while. So again, it's not done for the money. It's not being done here for the money. So anyway, back to the mountain is, there's no advantage, you know, in your application. Is what the board decides that they want to do.
Well, I think the conversation we had when we met was stewardship and climate.
Right.
That's what we were going to focus on. Nothing against birds.
No,
You know,
that's.
birds are nice.
Yeah.
Well, and I think like you point out, this is application to make the plan.
Right.
So we gotta get this first, and then we can really get into the finer details once we have the money to do that plan and assessment.
So landowner is Michael?
I think, yeah, I'd go through Michael.
Well, I think, like with other applications we've done, let's just fill it out and pass it over to him to sign and
Yeah,
submit.
right.
So if we get the new 2024 version, we'll check those two boxes like we were just saying. Nothing else, no bird assessment.
Right.
Any other comments before I make a motion to just move forward and then make sure that?
Yeah, I mean, if we could get it in as soon as possible, I don't think we need to wait for the next meeting to get it
Right.
in, right? We can just fill it out, ask him to sign it and submit it.
Yeah, and I see that I did fill in the FY 2023 one. We can just copy all that information over to the new one and send it in.
Okay. Did you send that to everybody or just to Matt?
I don't remember, it's been ages.
It's actually, it was, looking back, it was shared with everyone for the June 5th meeting. So if you have that email, you'll have a copy of the 2023. But we'll send a new one out, the updated one, once it's signed. Once I get it signed from Michael, so everyone has a copy of it.
Great.
But any last statements?
No, thank you though.
All right.
Very helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
So I'll just make a motion that we go along, submit the application with the two boxes that we're checking. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, thank you so much.
All right, so I'll email you that new application.
That'd be great.
All right, you guys have questions, you already got me.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
All right.
You're not about to adjourn, are you?
No, well, it'll be close. Mission statement. Thank you.
Question before.
Yeah.
Relating back to the tree starts at the greenhouse, I'm just thinking. Do you remember off the top of your head from the beginning of 2022 when we ordered all those trees?
Yeah.
Do you remember when they kind of ran out or when we ordered them so we were able to get the number that we wanted from
From the
the?
Arbor Day?
Yep.
What do you mean when they ran out? They ran out there?
Yeah, or do you?
Timing was tricky because they couldn't really guarantee we'd get it by the date of the giveaway. So we had to get them, I ordered them early. We got them like 3 weeks early and then we had to keep watering them for 3 weeks, which was pretty labor intensive. So there were some that they did run out of.
Yeah.
I probably ordered 2 months in advance and there were still some that they ran out of.
I know it's only
Sooner
November,
the better.
but I'm just thinking, I wonder if we want to if we could try to order some from that again.
Yep.
And then on top of those, then we could get the high school involved with some if they manage to get it to work in there, and then we could still have the kids involved. Just thinking
Okay.
back.
Do you want to do a joint? Are you proposing that Riggs be involved again and buy them?
Would we want to do that?
No.
Well, I think
Better, do we have any money?
well, that's good. All good questions. Maybe what we'll do is put it on the next agenda to figure out, make a plan.
I just wanted to slide in there.
Yeah,
That's not
no.
November, but I'm just thinking
So
ahead.
I'll put out feelers anyway and just see, because I think they viewed it as a very successful event.
Oh,
They
good.
liked it.
Oh, good.
So,
Well, that's always nice to hear.
yeah, it might be something, because it was town involvement and So I can see if there's interest. It was like $100. It was not a lot of money.
Okay. It could also be nice to have them involved, and then also if the high school gets some that are successful, everyone involved, paying them out.
A good community event.
Yep.
That'd be awesome. So we'll put that on agenda to hash out the
What,
plans.
can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
There's actually, someone told me there's a better place to get them. A New York nursery, because they do a big tree giveaway in Sheffield. And they get them from a different place. So I can ask about that too.
That'd be great. So finally, to go back, obviously we were going to talk about this in October, so we had 2 months. Probably wanted to come up with anything else about Eric's draft, which I personally didn't have anything new to add.
I thought it was fine the way it was. I liked it.
I really liked it.
Same here.
Same here. So that being said, I like to make a motion to take Eric's draft and make it the mission statement for the committee moving forward.
Second.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
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 Now we know what we're doing.
More no. So what I'd like to do with that too, Eric, is when we do the report for the town report, the annual report, we'll put that in there somewhere.
And can it go on the website?
And maybe we get on the website, and make it a revolving thing. So when the report time comes, we'll talk about what we want to add, because I want to make sure we do a lot of different things over the course of the year. I want to make sure everyone has some input on the report moving forward, so I don't forget anything. Cool. I don't know if Patrick had something
Sounded like he did.
he wanted. Let me just go grab him before to make sure there's nothing else.
Nice to see you. Yeah. Missed you.
I was caught in Israel.
I heard that.
And then I had to go see my kids, that wanted to see my face.
I'm so glad you're back and safe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No.
talk about the planting budget in town.
Oh,
It's only $3,000. It needs to be more. Hey, I got a thing that is not on your agenda, so maybe we listen and then, either talk about it or not. I don't care. So we have a housing production plan we're working. And that just basically means what's going to be our plan to build workforce and/or affordable housing. Just to set it up, workforce housing basically for a family of four that can legally be subsidized by a town. It's up to 110% of average median income, which is about $115,000. Affordable housing is up to 80%, so that works out to about $80,000. Sounds like a lot, but it's not enough to buy a house around here, So as we put together a plan, one of the things I was thinking, you talk about working on a farm that has an acre and a half of land. A friend of mine who's actually on the Conservation Commission put in a prefab house that's fabulous. The whole thing, even customized, cost less than $400,000. So you start to think about a plot of land, someone with farming experience, and what an income, either part-time or full-time, or maybe working part-time, or maybe it's husband and wife or husband or whatever, one works and one farms. I'm just wondering if we should consider as part of our housing production plan, which is to be approved by the select board, the state, and the planning board, and everybody else, maybe should include a goal of saying 5 to 10 micro farms over 10 years, where we're actually giving people like kind of a template, so that a farmer can come in and say, when he's working and when he wants to farm, here's the modular house, here's the 2 acres, here's the crops or whatever. Maybe the farmer decides the crops. I don't know anything about farming. So I'm making this up as I go. But a lot of people are talking about building affordable housing, but, you know, you can do it either for ownership. So the way that works is even though it's subsidized, you own the property, but it's deed restricted. You can't sell it for 10 or 15 years without giving the money back, you know? And so you can have home ownership as part of this mix. And a lot of people are talking about building houses in general, but I don't hear anybody talking about building houses for farmers. And I think it would be really cool if building houses for farmers was sort of a little part of our housing production plan. And I'm inviting you to help me figure it out. I have no idea anything more than what I just said, but it just strikes me as kind of, you know, Providence Lawn just bought right on the Mass Pike. Yeah, everybody thinks Stockbridge is like, you know, uber expensive, but we have like places where just naturally it's never gonna be, you know, a multi-million-dollar, you know, large mansion type of house. It's just, we have a landscape here, partly, you know, man-made, that lends itself perhaps to exploring ideas like this. And I just think we could possibly do something creative with some of this land, like Prada de Lana, but you encourage more of them. You know, I don't know. So what do you guys think? Stupid or?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I think, personally, I think my son is a farmer, so I have an investment in this, not in Massachusetts. But I think if there's a way to entice, especially young people,
Yeah.
move to Stockbridge and have something, you're a young farmer, have something affordable to start, you know, as a starter, I think that would be fantastic. I don't know about the logistics, but I think it's.
Eric, do you know if anybody's done anything like that?
No, I don't, and I don't think they have. We've got a lot of farm fields around here that get hayed maybe. But I don't know if they qualify because they're not 4 acres.
No, for affordable housing, well, yeah, the rules are a little different for affordable housing than for zoning. Completely different, actually. It's obviously the state rules are a little different than the local rules.
Yeah, but we have more than 10% affordable housing.
It doesn't matter. It's called a friendly 40B rather than a hostile 40B. Even when you're over 10%, as long as the zoning board of appeals approves it, you can do an override. Just an FYI, it's the zoning board of appeals that's the licensing authority if you're over 10%.
Well, I think it's a great idea. You know, we've been talking about, we collectively, town has been talking about things like ADUs and, you know, ways to basically make it possible for people to live in their homes and, you know, and, you know, keep going. And you know, farming is a risky business and it's expensive and it's hard to make a living at it. It's hard to keep your house over your head. So I think that having an affordable housing plan specifically targeting small farmers would be a great way to entice people to be small farmers and to, you know, have it with a little bit of a safety net.
Yeah, and I think too, in context of, you know, what's happened over the last few years or few decades is farms have been parceled up, and a lot of it a lot of them retired and some were forced out, but some just retired, and to make their money, they sold their home separate from their land. So a lot of time what happened was the land was still being farmed or hayed or whatever, but the house that the farmer lived in was sold off to someone to make a mansion. So, you know, this is what's kind of happened. So you have these fields strewn all over the place. So someone rides their tractor 10 miles down the road to go hay someone's field for them. But, you know, zoning laws and stuff have prevented people from building homes on the farms that they want to farm, or the land they want to farm, should I say. So I think, you know, to your point, I think this is going to be a bigger discussion. And I think we should, you know, put it on the agenda and actually talk about it and start diving into it more.
Fields like that, in Stockbridge?
It's a great question. I mean, it would be an interesting way to
You know, the
figure
other
out.
thing is you can do overlay districts, and overlay districts don't have to be geographical, they can be based on things like land use.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have, I think there's not a lot of appetite for wholesale changing
Mm-hmm.
of zoning requirements, but nevertheless, for specific uses, it's not an unreasonable thing to consider. It would be, you know, if we have a lot of orphan fields that, you know, in R4, maybe if there's a working farm, and I mean, I don't know how you then keep it working. If once you build the house, you're not going to force someone to abandon. I don't know. You'd have to think it through.
Right. It's a longer discussion to be.
Yeah.
Do you have a comment?
I was just gonna say, it sounds like a great idea, but I think that, we all know how difficult farming, is and to make a living at it. So you put somebody, or you have to see if there's state funding available to supplement whatever, and then maybe federal funding. Because somebody gets a house on a parcel of land, and how are they gonna make a living? How are they gonna keep their house and keep?
It would have to be someone like Matt who knows how to farm. I'm serious. I mean, it would have to be a professional who knew what they were doing.
If someone came,
Hey, sorry, I just realized we're getting into a discussion that's not on the agenda, and we really should stop discussing it at this point.
Like the idea.
No, let's make a plan and people can bring their best thoughts to it on the agenda soon.
And I think, Patrick, if you could send us your thoughts, questions, resources that are relevant, anything to give us material to think about and look at would be really great.
Sure, and just be aware that there's a meeting next week, I believe, or the week after, where we're discussing the housing production plan. And this is a process where we debate various ways to build housing, zoning, methods, ownership versus rental, all those things. And so, I think this is a timely time to have a conversation.
When's the meeting?
Yeah, what day is the meeting?
It's on the town calendar. I think it's maybe the night, I don't know.
It's a house.
19th or the 12th or something.
Gotcha.
November.
All right, well, we'll look for that meeting. Hopefully, some of us can attend.
Thank you for bringing it.
Yeah, thank you. That's, I'm something I'm excited about.
Yeah.
But that being said, not hearing anything else from anyone, I'll make a motion to close this meeking. Do I hear a second?
First, we need to confirm next meeting.
Next meeting. Thank you, Shelby. Looking at the calendar, would be December 4th.
Monday, the 20th.
Monday, the 20th.
December 4th. All right with everybody?
Yep.
All right. All right. Now I'll make the motion, close out this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.